Welcome in, everyone. We are live. This is Mikey Wine here, aka Gundamonium Works, once again with part 11 of this Black Aces Valkyrie diorama project. And tonight we're going to be working on these figures, starting the painting process of them, and hopefully get quite a bit done on the pilot. I painted the base coat and did some airbrushing for that, and then I also airbrushed all of the crew figures, their faces and stuff, and with the flesh tones, stuff that I couldn't do on camera very easily because it would just be too noisy. So, but those are all sitting here. Got the pilot here. I've got some of my Citadel paints, which work really well for shading and stuff. That's why for this, particularly for the faces and things like that. So that's why I have that stuff out. So anyway, so what we got here, just recently I did a little bit of work on these guys because I was trying to figure out how to mount them to the base, and most of them are going to be pretty easy to set up. The one that's going to be the challenging one is the one that sits under the Valkyrie with his hands on the gun pod, because it's got to be a precise location where he's pinned in. And what I've done is I've drilled a small hole in the foot of each one of these guys, and I've added some. This is how big is this? This is like 3/64 inch, 1.19 millimeter brass rod that I'm cutting into pins and just basically pinning the foot. You see right here, there's a pin in there. And then I drilled a hole in the base for the pilot. So when he's installed, he'll basically sit just like that. All right. So see how that works. Looks pretty nice, right? And then I had to make sure that obviously the pin, when you drill a hole like that, if the pin's not quite straight, the figure doesn't stand straight. So I did some modification and did a little tweaking, bending to it to make sure the pin, when I do install him, he looks natural, like a natural stance or everything like that. But this is the one I was basically talking about. This guy with his hands out. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Okay, and I've done some shading with my Citadel paints on that too. Come on, focus. There we go. A little bit better. Because he's going to be mounted somewhere around here on the floor, I've got to make sure I'm really sure where he's going to stand, and I got to really make sure where to drill the hole to make sure that when I install everything, it looks natural, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, that's another challenge for another day. Right now, we're just going to be. Hey, what's up, John? Big John. Oh, Vanderlei, how you doing? Party too loud? Can't hear anything, but wanted to give you. What do you mean you can't hear anything? I'm not muted, am I? Shouldn't be. My mic is working. Anybody else having a hard time hearing me? See, I'm not muted. Can't hear anything. All right, well, maybe that's your party that you're talking about. Give me a heads up and let me know if you guys are hearing me okay. My audio is okay. I tested my mic and everything. So nope, as in nope, you can hear me, or nope, you can't hear me. All right. Let me check my settings just in case here. So audio, microphone. Oh, my mic's working, guys. So unless you're talking about, nope, you're good. Okay, that's what I thought. Must be Vanderlei's party. She's having a Christmas party or something. Party too loud. That's good. Good for you. Having fun. So anyway, getting back here, I got some Citadel paints. These are for miniatures. A lot of my friends do Warhammer minis and stuff, and I started to collect a few of them. Mainly some of the washes and shades. Like this is a Reichland flesh shade, which works really, really well for just shading. You can put it right over a flesh tone, and it just highlights all the features really nicely without having to do much of anything at all, really any work. So I got a couple of them that I just did right before I started tonight. And I can show you this one. It focuses in here. Let's see. Come on. There we go. So you can really see the face nice and clearly. And that's just using that shade tone over the Tamiya number 51 flesh tone. I did his hands as well. Let's see, right there we go, centered. So yeah, so you got, I don't have to do much work at all. I don't even know if I'll even do any kind of a wash on that because it's pretty clean already. I don't have to change much. It's one thing about this camera. Once it focuses in on the close stuff, it's hard to get, there we go. Sometimes it's hard to get it to come back, but so I'm only going to use that stuff for shading and maybe painting some of the crew. I'm not sure if I want to do different colored shirts. Now, normal modern military, you'd have different colored shirts on the deck, which would signify their particular job title on deck, whether they're a munitions expert, whether they're a launch expert, maintenance. They all have different colors, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that because obviously this is not modern military, it's Macross. So I may just stay with a gray, some kind of a uniform, a gray uniform. I don't know yet. But getting back to the pilot, let me set these aside here. So I sprayed the base color on his helmet's not done, but I've just basically sprayed the base color, and that was I chose Mr. Color 515, which is a faded gray, according to how they describe it. And I will use this Mr. Color 329. This will be for the striping and the highlights on the shoulders and the wrists and the feet. If you're familiar with a Macross Valkyrie pilot, they have these big bright yellow and black striping on the shoulders and on their feet, on the tops of their, or on their wrists. And so I'm going to use that for that. And then of course, black to set that off. And then I've got a darker gray. This is a German gray number 40 that I'll use for some of the highlights, the boots, some of the straps, the stuff, the basic other accoutrements on the uniform. Because again, this was somebody's artistic rendition of a Valkyrie pilot. It's not an accurate VF1 pilot, but I decided because it's a Black Aces squadron, they might have special uniforms. They might have special color schemes because they're a unique squadron. So why not? Why not? So, and then for the lighter color, like the helmet, I'll use this 324 light gray. And I'll be hand painting most of that. And some people might say, hand painting with Mr. Color. Yeah, well, it's not exactly the ideal thing to do, but if you thin it properly, you can hand paint with it. It just dries so extremely fast that most people tend to not use Mr. Color when hand painting, or just maybe only for touch-ups. Who's blowing me up? Hey man, sending Christmas cards. Oh jeez, right during my broadcast. Well, I'll get back to you, Angel. You're sending Christmas cards and you need my address or something like that, but I'll do that later. Anyway, so I didn't get anything done last week. I was down in Portland for training, and I didn't have a bunch of any new content really to show you guys. So I didn't do a show last week. So here we are tonight, and there's been other stuff going on too, personal things, and it's just been a roller coaster. So not a lot of time to work on this project today, but we're going to do some hand painting tonight. I'm going to try to get some of the highlights done on the pilot here, and we will go from there. So anybody have any questions, any comments, let me know. Put them in the comments, and I will address them. So, yeah. Just in case you're wondering, this was the Citadel shade that I used. This was the Reichland. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's REIKLAND Flesh Shade, and that's what I'm using to highlight these guys. But tonight I'm going to primarily work on the pilot figure, and once I get him done, all these other guys will go pretty quick because they're going to be very similar as far as their uniforms are concerned. And then I've got to figure out where to put them and drill the holes on the base so that I can pin them. The whole idea is that I can take this thing apart. I don't have to leave them on there. I don't have to glue them in place. I can just, when I go to set this diorama up, I can take each one of these figures and just put them in a hole that I've pre-drilled for wherever their foot's going to be. I mean, this guy's pinned as well, but he doesn't really need it because he's already sitting flat on it. He'll be on top of one of the platforms up by the cockpit. So, but I only drilled a hole in his foot just so I could have a clamp to paint it. I was going to use these guys here. Angel, my buddy Angel, let me borrow these to try to help paint these. But the problem is there's just not enough spring tension on here, and there's no base for these unless I pin it, which was what I did. I just put a pin in them, and even then it doesn't hold the pin very tightly because this is made for like a round base or one of those Warhammer type figure bases, and it will hold quite a bit better because as you pull this apart more, it gets more tension. But for something like this, I couldn't get it to really hold the foot strong enough, so I just went ahead with my little clamps here, these little mini clamps I found at Home Depot, and there's a little brass pin in the foot, and that will work good. It's a good handle. I can hold on to it, and I can paint and do whatever I gotta do. Hey, what is up, George? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, I finally got some sleep, so I'm awake and doing a broadcast. Last time we talked, I was up pretty early in the morning to watch you guys, right? So anyhow, let's get going here. I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do the boots. I'm going to start from the ground up. So I'll take this German gray, and I'll be using my eye adjusters. These are Micromark's adjustable magnifiers. They go from 0.5 to 4 times magnification just by turning these little dials here on the sides. And it moves the lens in and out, so you can adjust how close you want to get, how much magnification you want, and don't have to keep switching glasses out. I have another set. It's just these basic these guys right here, and these are 2 or 2.5, something like that. Anyway, those were just 2.5, but these are adjustable, so I can get really close and see what I'm doing with these little tiny figures. So. Another thing here, this is the platform that I had primed it, and then I used some Mr. Surfacer 500 and painted over the planks and stippled it with a brush to make it look more like a grip type tape. Yeah, what's sleep? I know. I don't need as much as I used to. But anyway, so because these were made to look like wood planks, I didn't want these to be wood. I want them to be more look like a steel structure. So I leveled that out with some of that Mr. Surfacer 500. And then because it's so thick, I was able to just kind of stipple it so it looks more like a grippy type of surface. And then I'll paint these with some kind of a darker gray. The steps anyway, and the frame will probably be white, or I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that's basically it. And I've also got a couple ladders that are over there drying right now. The one that goes to the cockpit itself, that one's painted white, and that will be panel lined. However minimal panel lines that there are will be panel lined there. So right now I'm just mixing up some number 40 German gray. And this is going to be for some of the harnesses and straps and stuff on the Valkyrie pilot's uniform. There's some equipment and stuff that's strapped to his body, and that's what I want this color to be. And I'll show you a picture. And I'm actually kind of following this scheme pretty closely, except for the visor and a couple of minor changes. But let me find it here. This was what I found online. Okay, so anyway, so this is kind of what I'm going for. And it looks pretty dark on the screen, and my lights are kind of getting in the way, but the main body color is like kind of a darkish gray, kind of green tone, and that's why I picked that number 515, because it kind of has a little bit of that green in it. But yeah, so the visor though is not going to be green; it'll be blue, and then the top of the head, the top of the helmet, I'm not doing in this solid visor. Like this is more of a Macross Plus or Macross Frontier type visor. I'm not doing that, or the over, on the top of the helmet. I went ahead and scribed the, see if I can get this to focus. I scribed in lines on the top. You can barely see them there, to match the original VF1 pilot type helmet. So I'm going to be painting each one of those panels a different color, and that's something I haven't decided on either. I'm not sure what color I should do it in. Red, maybe blue. I'm thinking blue, because I like Maximilian. I like his colors. I might do blue, just to kind of give an homage to Max Genius. But yeah, so I scribed some lines using a really thin chisel, and I actually started with a razor just so I could mark them, and then I scribed them ever so lightly, because the visor is really thin. This print was done, I mean, it's almost hollowed out underneath too, so it's really not a lot of material there. I had to be careful not to go too deep with those scribes. So anyway, let's get going. Let me know what you guys, if there's anything you want to talk about, let me know. In the meantime, I'm just going to start painting. This might be too dark. I might have to go with a little bit lighter gray. This is a pretty dark gray, but we'll try it out and see. If it turns out being too dark, I can always redo it. I think we're going to go with this brush. So, George, are you doing anything right now? Are you building anything while you're watching, or are you just chilling out? We've had a lot of snow today. I was actually looking out my window. It was just dumping snow earlier today. So I'm hoping tomorrow is not going to be too bad trying to get to work. We'll see what happens when I come out in the morning. Typically, I don't shovel it out in the morning. I just drive over it. But if it keeps dumping like it was earlier, we might end up with at least 3-4 inches of snow. I don't know. So I'm going over this with the German gray, but I've also got to do those stripes later. Maybe I shouldn't have done the whole boot, but yeah, I can fix it. Anyway, how's everybody's weekend going? Would you still require would you still alkaline for gold or another? John, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Would I still? What does REQ mean? Require or recommend? Is that what you're calling for? Recommend Alclad for gold? Alclad is good as far as their metallics. I think. In fact, I know that Alclad has changed their formula on their base black, their like gloss black base, and it has disappointed a lot of people because it doesn't cure. It takes forever to cure, and that's one of my biggest complaints about Alclad anymore. Fortunately I have some of the older stuff, so anytime I use it, I typically don't have that problem. But certainly their metallics are awesome. If you want to keep using them, yeah, by all means, go for it. Just if you go to clear coat any kind of their metallics, you need to use Aqua Gloss, because if you try using any kind of a lacquer, a clear lacquer like just Mr. Color, gloss or something like that, it will wash out all of the metallic paint that you have on your black base. So you have to use aqua gloss. That's the only thing. I think Mr. Color is nice because you can use their super metallics and throw their gloss right over the top of it, and it won't touch it. It'll work just fine. It's just, all clad is good. It's very nice. It's beautiful if you do it right, but it's kind of temperamental. You have to apply it right. Otherwise you end up with going, what happened? I just went to clear coat it and all my shine went away. As it will totally wash the metallic paint off and just bring up the black gloss underneath it. Are there metallic lacquers or enamel? Their metallics are lacquer. Their candy colors are enamel. But it just, I don't know why they don't stand up to a clear coat. It's almost like the metallic paint goes on so thin and it's so delicate that when you paint over it or try to clear over it, it just bleed. It's almost like the clear gloss. Maybe it's Mr. Color's gloss. It's just too aggressive, and it'll start to bleed that black base up from underneath it and kind of wash out whatever metallic you put on it. I'm discouraged by any paints that require finicky processes. Yes, I agree, George. I am also discouraged by that, and that's why I was mentioning Mr. Color, because they've got some nice metallics now too, particularly their super metallic brand or label, like this stuff here. This is super fine silver, super metallic 2, but it's really, really fine pigment. I mean, you can see that in just the bottom of the jar. It's very, very fine pigment, and so it comes out very, very shiny and very, very similar to what All Clad produces, without having to use, having to jump through a bunch of hoops and do this ridiculous process just to get it right. I still think using a gloss black base works well, but I think Mr. Color is a little easier to use. AK Extreme Metals. Yeah, that's something I've never used. Metallics, yeah. I've not used their stuff, but I have heard good things about them. But there I said I've never used it before, so. Yeah, you say I'd rather stick with Mr. Color AK. Yeah, me too. I used to go strictly all clad anytime especially when I first saw them. I was like, there's nothing that can beat this, and I started using that. But when I did my first candy color Sotheby with using the metallics, I noticed as soon as I went to shoot them with a clear coat, all of a sudden everything washed away, and I was like, what the hell just happened? I nearly ruined it. I had to go back and hand paint everything all those little pipes and stuff that were all chromed. I had to go back and hand paint them silver just so they would look decent, because it nearly got washed away with using that Mr. Color gloss over it. So that doesn't look too bad. I think I'll do his gloves the same way, and then I'll have there's going to be there's a patch on the back of his hand I'm going to do in that bright yellow with a little bit of black behind it too. I like having a finish ruined. Yeah, and it was early on too. That was probably the first time I had ever done any kind of a resin conversion for any kind of a Gundam kit. It was a Sotheby 1.0, and then it was a recast of a conversion kit. So there in itself was a challenge enough, because it was a recast, so it didn't fit perfectly anyway. So I had a lot of challenges there, just getting it to fit right. And then not having the experience with resin or using All Clad as well. So there was a lot of firsts, and then it was a big learning process doing that, because when I finally did get it right, it was just like, oh God, I learned a lot. Let's put it that way. I learned a ton by just dealing with that the hard way, I guess. But you know, it worked out well because the kit came out good, and it was good enough for expert to win expert category. The very first time that SCGMC held an expert category, I was able to capture that trophy. Probably be about, I don't know, it's like 6, well, you know, it's longer than that. It's probably like 8-10 years ago, maybe. I'm trying to think when they first did. All-clad doesn't play well with lacquer top coats. No, yes, it does not. That's exactly what we were just saying. That's why you have to use their aqua gloss, and I hear that works great. So if you get it, it looks like a milky white kind of a jar, you know, with the aqua gloss. It's like a milky white paint inside, you know, very, very thin, but it's supposed to spray right over their metallics and not touch them and protect them as well. Because that was the thing, is like, you want to protect your paint, you put down this super coat finish, and all you want to do is protect it, but then you throw down a lacquer over it and it just goes, oh shit, no, and causes all sorts of problems. So but the aqua gloss is supposed to work just fine. I have some. I have not actually used it yet, so I can't speak from my own experience on that. I'm only basing it off of what everybody else has told me. I bought it because I was told it would work, but I never had the opportunity to actually use it again to try it out. Because typically I only use Mr. Color exclusively now. I don't use very much. I use some enamels, some tester stuff if I'm doing a reverse wash or something, but most of the time, everything I use is Mr. Color. It just works. They're durable. They're tough as nails. They dry fast. I don't have to. It's not, you know, why not? Like George was saying earlier, why would you want to use something that's going to cost all this extra steps and just be a pain in the ass if you can open a jar up and use it right out of the jar and it works just fine? It works great, you know. So no, same with the opposite. Lacquer bones. I'll put this up on screen. I should be doing this, huh, so people can see what we're talking about. Lacquer paints don't work very well with all-clad top coats. Huh. Yeah, that's true. That's what we were saying. No, yeah. So all-clad. Oh, so you're talking about trying to go over an all-clad top coat? Yeah. No, I've never tried that, so I wouldn't know how that would work. What do you use for hand painting? I am using Mr. Color lacquers. I know that's not the norm, and a lot of people would disagree with that, but if you thin it properly, it can be done. I know it dries very fast, and it doesn't. That's the hard part about it, is because you got to make sure it's thin enough. But I just thin my paints enough, and I can paint fast enough and not have to worry about it drying too fast and making a mess. Oh yeah, it's. I don't know if it's relatively new, John. The super metallic line. I'm not sure when that came out. I know in the regular Mr. Color lacquers have been around quite a bit longer, but they make. I have. Geez, I'm trying to think how many of their paints I do, and it's mostly just silvers and golds. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6 or 8 different super metallic colors. I've got iron, stainless steel, gold. Yeah, there's stainless. And then I've got this is called rough silver, which has a bit more of a larger pigment. It's very sparkly. So yeah, there's a lot. You can pick some up. You'll be satisfied, especially when you're doing like silvers, like you're talking about maybe painting thruster bells or something. You might like their stainless steel or their silver, because it goes on very, very well. And just thin it normally. I mean, it's a pretty thin. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the or the super metallics are already thinner in the jar, I think, than regular Mr. Color, if I'm not mistaken. So they don't take as much thinning to become airbrush worthy, but they really go down very, very well. So never seem to be dissatisfied. So I want to mix this up a little bit more just to make sure. Gold thrusters, huh? Okay. Yeah, you got choices then. If you want to go with gold, you got several choices because Mr. Color makes a couple of gold. This is the super metallic super gold. That's pretty dark because it's in the bottom of the jar. All the pigments are down there, but they also make another gold, and not their regular one. That's not the regular Mr. Color, but there's like 2 or 3 that you can choose from. And I can't remember what it's called, super metallic, or just their gosh, what is it called? Super metal or metal? I don't know. I can't remember, but look for them on like USA Gundam Store or something, or actually Spray Gunner might have a better selection. Spray Gunner will have them, and I usually pick them up from them. They're pretty good about their shipping. They ship fast, and they usually have more of that stuff in stock, I think, than USA Gundam. But I could be wrong. I've just bought most of my paint I get from Spray Gunner. It seems like they have it in stock more often and more of it. So, and their shipping is super fast too. I was kind of bummed about the last shipment I got from USA Gundam Store, because typically when I see a FedEx tracking number, I think, oh crap, it's FedEx. I'm going to get a box that's just going to be obliterated. It's FedEx, they like just throwing shit around. But funny thing was I got this package, and the outer box was pristine. I thought, all right, this is awesome. And then I open it up, and the model kit I have inside is crushed. And I was like, well, that had to have happened before they even put it in the box then, because FedEx didn't screw up the outside box. The outside box was perfect. But USA Gundam stepped up, and they gave me a partial refund, kind of a discount on my some store credit, basically, to make up for it. I sent them some pictures, and they were good about it, so that's all good. Maybe I should show you what I got, huh? Does everybody want to see what I bought? Actually, I bought it for me, but my wife's gonna be the one. I'm building it for her. And everybody's seen these. So I'm gonna clean my brush out real quick, and I'll go get that kit, and I'll show you what I got going on. So right now I'm just working on these boots. I think I might try to go with a lighter color gray. Yes, please, show and tell. You've seen it before. I'm sure once I bring it up here, you're gonna be like, oh yeah. But it's a pretty awesome kit. All right, so let me go grab it. It should be close by. Yes, there it is. Not very far away. So here is what we've got here, boys and girls. Oh boy. The big old Optimus Prime. Yeah, it's pretty sweet kit. I'm looking forward to this, and they actually did a good job, it seems like, so far, as far as their construction. They've got metal parts for some of the major joints in the kit, like the shoulders, and I think the waist uses it's pretty big. It stands about I think it stands almost 12 inches tall when it's fully assembled. Yeah, it's got some metal joints for the shoulders and some of the major weight load bearing joints. So that was a good thought on their process, I think, as far as how to design a kit that's going to withstand its own weight. That's for your wife. Yeah, she kind of claimed it as soon as it came out of the box, so I didn't argue. I definitely didn't argue. So I'm not sure. I'm looking at this now that I've painted the German gray on there, and I think I might. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go a little bit lighter or not. I think I'm gonna keep moving forward. If I want to redo it, I can redo it, but I want to put some of that yellow on here and get some of that accent, some of those accent colors on it, so it'll offset it a bit. But I do like the darker scheme to start with. It just seems like, most of the VF1 pilots you see in the show are bright white suits, or something like that. I want these guys to be just different. The cool part about these prints was this was printed in clear plastic. So when I get ready to paint the visor, I'm going to scrape off the primer and reveal that clear plastic underneath, and then I'll go over that with a clear blue, and if the light hits it, it should shine right through the visor nicely and make a nice kind of a effect. So now I'm using 329. This is Mr. Colors yellow FS blah 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 whatever, but this is the closest I could find to that reflective shoulder pads, material that the Valkyrie pilots have. This is going to be a little bit, because this is pretty thin already, so I may have to do a few coats of this, but we'll find out. Yeah, my wife made up a rule. See, your wives make up rules for you in this hobby. And she started going through my backlog and finding kits that she really liked, and said, that one's mine, that one's mine, that one's mine. And then when I started buying some new ones, she was, oh, is that one's for me, right? And so now her rule is that I can build two of mine, and then I have to build one of hers. That's the rule. So the Transformer kit will come along later, probably sooner than later, but it's not going to be right after this build. I think I've made up my mind of what my next project's going to be. And I think I'm going with the Iwata airbrush spacecraft. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, I can bring that one out too. You like that, George? No, isn't that funny? You got to build one of mine now. Okay. So I just say, this one's yours, and that way there's no fuss. So right now I'm just putting the first coat of the shoulder, that reflective shoulder pads of these Valkyrie pilots. This uniform is not symmetrical either. It's whoever drew this, did the artwork on it, was really it's really unique. It's very different. Yeah, it's going to take a couple coats to get it right, but I think it'll look good. I'm just putting down the yellow first, and then I've got to paint all the little black stripes on it to separate the panels. The only thing if I had any kind of complaint about this figure, was normally Shapeways, when you go and order stuff off of their website, they give you the option to choose what resolution you want. And I just assumed that all of their stuff on their website was like that. But apparently some stuff is not available in the high resolution stuff. So, and this pilot was not. I had to buy it with the standard resolution, whatever that means. And so it was quite a bit rougher. The surface almost had it felt like a gritty surface. It scraped off really easily, but it was like really kind of gritty. My wife has no interest in models, anime, or sci-fi. Well, aren't you lucky? I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. Maria doesn't. I mean, she falls asleep during Star Wars movies and stuff, but um, she still likes the models I build. Some of the stuff, and she'll stake her claim to something she sees that she likes. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I don't remember. That's part of getting old too. Don't remember what you're saying. Don't remember what you walked into a room for, you know? So I'm just adding the first coat of yellow here so that the shoulders there and one of the wrists, so you kind of see how that's coming together. It looks pretty good like this. I like it. Joe falls asleep during Star Wars movies. You do too? Come on, man. You gotta at least, I mean, have you seen The Mandalorian? I mean, any of those series, you fall asleep during that stuff too? The stuff's amazing. Andor, my opinion of Andor is I'm still out. The jury's out on that one yet. The first series was interesting, but I think it was more of a. It's almost like they were just setting the stage for season 2. You know, it's not a lot happened. Yeah, he got sent to prison and he escaped. And sorry about the spoilers, but it's like what, you know, there wasn't a ton of other than a ton of information other than what about him and what happened, with his mother and stuff like that. So I don't know. I can't complain about it. It was enjoyable, but I think if I was to say which one I preferred better, I would definitely go with Mandalorian. And I am looking forward to season 3. Really looking forward to season 3. So I'm just going over the top of the boot here for the last piece of these reflectors. Yeah, I think this is going to look good. Now that I've got this yellow on there, I think I'm happy with the German gray. Originally, it looked kind of dark against the base color, but now that I'm starting to get some accent colors on there, I'm starting to like it. I'm digging it. I think we're going to stick with it. It's going to make for a very unique looking Valkyrie pilot. What's up, Angel? How you doing, man? You been here the whole time, or you just dropped in? Quite a few people watching. That's good. I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying this. As I continue to do these, more and more people tune in and participate. And I think I've been talking to a couple of my friends about maybe having some guest appearances. So when I come on and do a live show, maybe one or two of my buddies can jump in with me if they're building something, and we can make a group out of it. Not large groups, just one or two people at the most. I think might be worth it. But okay, so far there we go, coming together. Well, I got to start somewhere, George. You've been doing yours for what did you say, 2 years now, or almost 2 years, or almost 3 years? I can't remember, maybe 2. And so, yeah, you've got a huge following. I'm still working on that. Still starting. So I've got to let that sit and fully cure. I will say, when hand painting with these, because I got a little bit of a hair here I'm trying to get off. when you're painting over another color, it will bring that color up if you're not careful, because it is a lacquer, and it is, these paints are not, they're not timid by any means. So maybe that's why people will say don't hand paint with them. I don't mind doing it. I know how to deal with it. I just deal with it, and because I like the results, but it is a little bit touch and go. So what I mean is, like, I painted this shoulder. If I try to go over it again right now, it's going to bring up that gray from underneath. So I'm going to let it fully dry, and then I can go back over it and do a second coat. So it's looking pretty good, looking like a pilot now, right? We'll do a little bit on the helmet here. Clean my brush out. Still in Leavenworth. Oh, you went all the way to Leavenworth, huh? Yeah, have fun with that. Why did you decide to go today when it started snowing? Are you going to get stuck over there? Because I know you showed me the road. You sent me that picture on the road, but I didn't realize where you were. Now you say you're in Leavenworth. It all makes sense. I hope you don't get stuck over there. That's not going to be any fun at all, trying to get back in the snow. I can't see outside right now to see how thick it is. It started to coat the driveway. For a while today, it was coming down really hard, but it really wasn't sticking to the asphalt, just covering all the trees and grass and stuff. But now it's starting to stick to the ground, and as it cools off even more, it's probably going to get even thicker on the ground. So we'll see what the drive to work is like tomorrow morning when I get up. Dude, this is way too thick. I'm gonna have to thin this out. And this is 324. Actually, I've got several bottles of 324. I'm gonna get some thinner here and thin this out. And yes, I use Mr. Co leveling thinner. The only way to go. It's the only way to go. It works with Tamiya acrylics, which are not water-based acrylics, I guess. They are lacquer-based acrylics. That was something I learned recently. A little bit more. Some people say, well, how do you, what do you, when you measure for your airbrush, is it 50-50? And I never really measured paint to thinner ratios like that. When I was taught airbrush and how to mix paint for airbrush, I was taught to look at it like the consistency of vitamin D milk. When it coats the side of the jar like a milk would in a glass, then you've got it right. But now I look at how it drips off my little stir stick. It's like I can tell how thin it is by how easily it comes off the stick. If it's not enough, I add more, because every color is different. Every color's got a different pigment. Some pigments are a little bit heavier than others, and they require a little bit more. So basic ratios just don't work. I mean, they get you started, but it's not going to be consistent. So I just go by feel, for lack of a better word. When I mix it up, when it looks right, and it works, because I've been doing it long enough that I know that. But for the beginner, I guess, yeah, you might want to start with ratios and then work your way up from there. But sorry I'm late. It feels like Saturday to me. Yeah, no big deals, dude. We're still going here. We've only been on for less than an hour. Don't worry about it, Julius. It's all good. It was bad in Monroe at about 4. Yeah, I know. I went out to go grab some food before my broadcast tonight, and it was like, I felt like I was in a Star Wars movie at light speed, with all the snow coming at my car as you're driving down the street. I think I'm going to get a smaller brush, though, for this. Let's go with this guy. I'm going to work on the helmet now, at least not the visor part, but the rest of it. So, yeah, it's snowing pretty good, and I'm really hoping it clears out. It's supposed to stop by no later than Wednesday, so it just makes for a shitty drive to work, and drive home. It really does. So I'm painting his helmet with the lighter gray rather than a white. I think it still needs to be gray, but a lighter gray is perfectly fine. Once I get all these colors down and touch them up in any way I need to, then I can go and clear coat it like normal. And panel lines, if there is such a thing on one of these, or just use some washes like that flesh shade that works well as a shading type. It works good over these Mr. Color lacquers. It works really, really well. I had really good success with it when I was doing that Warhammer. I was doing that Baneblade tank commission, and I used Mr. Color lacquers, and then I went over it with some of the Citadel paints. They really did quite well over the top as far as like shading and stuff. So it worked out good. It's one thing I will say, it seems like that Citadel line, they've done a really good job with their formulations there. Their stuff is interesting. It just works, you know. You'd think it wouldn't. You look at it and go, there's no way that's going to work. And you use it and it's like, wow, it just works. They've done a really good job at that. It's only raining here in Spanaway. No, you don't seem to understand. I don't want snow, okay? I enjoy, don't get me wrong, I like the snow. I like to go and play around in it, whatever. I don't want to have to try to work in it. I don't want to have to try to drive to work in it. I don't want to have to drive home in it. It's a pain in the ass. So yeah, okay. You want to snow, fine. It's just a bitch to get it, you know, sometimes, because I don't know how it is in where you guys live, but like George is in Massachusetts. I don't know how the drivers are there, but you'd think the drivers here, having lived in it their entire lives, would know how to drive in the rain or drive in the snow. But it just seems like the people here lose their effing minds. A little bit of water or something hits their windshield and they just fucking lose it. It's like, what are you doing? And here I am from California, where it's 102 degrees 9 months out of the year, and I'm a better driver in the snow and rain than you are. I just don't get it. You know, let's see, what was I going to do? Oh, yes, I need to find a blue. I think that will work. Without what? Sup, Mike? What's up, Vanley? You back now? You were here earlier. Now I can hear you. Oh, good. Workout music. Oh, nice. Or without music, you said. Well, good. I hope your party was fun, though. I think we're going to go with cobalt blue on the helmet. Maybe that's too dark. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm trying to think of I just saw a color I think I want to use. Okay, I was going to use this for the visor, like the top panels on the visor. This is Mr. Color number 80. It's a cobalt blue. But I've got this azure blue, number 370. What do you think of that? Where's the face cam? I only have one camera, Vandalay. I don't have a fancy setup like you do, where you get to see your pretty face while you're broadcasting. Oh, it was a cousin's birthday party. Nice. No, I only have one camera. I know eventually I might get two and be able to set up a rig like that. But for now, you get to look at my hands and my workbench. Because if you're looking at my face, you're not seeing what I'm doing. So anyway. So I'm thinking I might want to go with this. This is weird. This is a 75% flat. That's interesting. Never seen that on a bottle of their paint before. Usually it's gloss, semi-gloss, or flat. This is 75% flat. All right. I mean, it's all going to be flat when I'm done, or gloss, whatever, when I'm done with it. But I think this kind of blue, this might look nice. I'm going to try it. Let's do it. You like the cobalt? Yeah. Question. Okay, let's bring this up. Julius has a question here. What's up? To everyone, I saw that Revell has enamel paints. Are these new or are they any good? Oh, God. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else knows about those or not. If it's anything like their model kits, I would say probably not. Because I think Revell needs to get their shit together as far as the wear. I don't know. I haven't built a Revell kit in years just because they're not. I mean, maybe some of their new stuff is really, really good, but I don't know. I don't know how good any of their. I didn't even know they had a paint line, to be honest. It's probably very similar to like a Tester's enamel or something. What do you know? What base it is? Is it lacquer? Or they're water-based acrylics. Huh. All right, that's interesting. I'd be willing to try it. Because for the longest time, I thought that Tamiya was water-based acrylics, but apparently I was really wrong about that. Tamiya does thin with water, but you shouldn't. So right now I'm just mixing up, just thinning this blue here. I can always go over it with the cobalt, but I'm going to try this first. Because this is, again, these are unique pilots, so I want them to have unique color schemes. So I'm just thinning out this blue. That's interesting, George. Where did you hear that? I never even knew that Revell had its own paint line. That's kind of crazy. All right, so we're going to do blue. So I'm doing the visor. Oops, this one. I'm doing the visor, or the actual, not the overhanging visor. I mean, when I say visor, I'm talking about the glass portion. I'm doing that in clear blue, which is going to be a dark blue. So it might be nice to have some contrast. It's okay if I hit those lines because it's going to get panel lined anyway, so that stuff will light up. I like this color already. Oh yeah, I think I'm liking this color. It's blue, but it has a purplish kind of tone to it. It's very close. It's actually just dark, slightly darker than what you would think like the Bang doll would be on 5 Star Stories. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that a lot. Let's see if we can get that to focus. There we go. I think I like that a lot. Yep. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that just the way it is. I do have to paint the inside of this visor, though. There. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Starting to come together. Thanks. I was looking at getting some basic enamels. Let me put this back on. Well, first I'm going to... where was it? Oh, here we go. Oh, gosh. I'm missing stuff here because I'm not looking up soon enough. Which paint is it again? Oh, that was the Revell, I think is what they're talking about, Vanderlei. Revell paint line. I've never even heard of it. Let's see. Plasma uses Aqualine for paints. Huh. Oh, that's one of your friends on the AmFam group, right, George? And then George, old school. Let's see. Looking at getting some basic enamels called like Tamiya enamels. Yeah, those are hard to come by. Where did you find yours, George? I know you have some Tamiya enamels, I think, don't you? I was wondering if you're reveal your source, whether I mean if it's HLJ or something like that. I mean that's pretty cool. But other than knowing somebody that's stationed, living in Japan that can get them for us, that would be kind of cool. But Twitch is lagging, but Twitch is lagging, huh? Well, let me see. I'll bring up Twitch. Let me see what's going on with the Twitch page. Is it just getting glitchy or something? Usually I bring that one up too so I can kind of see whether it's working or not. Yeah, it looks like it's up. But you said it's lagging pretty good. Oh well. Sunbird hobbies in Canada. Let's see. Check. Oh, so that was Tamiya Enamels, George. Where you got that? It was in Canada. Sunward hobbies. I have to write that down. I want to check them out too because I've got friends in Canada, and we might be able to. Twitch has been acting up all day. It's the platform. Yeah, well, whatever. It happens. So let's see. That was Sunward Hobbies. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's always nice to have inside scoop on a new resource. I just pre-ordered the third Regault from Hasagawa as well, the Scout version. I remember, George, you were talking about the fourth or the other missile pod version, and I forgot there was two types because the one of them has the small missiles, and then the other one's got two big fatties, like or two sets of two big missiles. It would be nice to see all four of those types hit the. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably see the other one, but catchy kit, kitchy kit, kitchy kit, kit, kit. Nice. So everybody's getting what they want. Find a new toys. Let's see what did I get anything other than the razor. That's it. That's it. I can show you this. I glued this down. So the floor here is this this cart's glued down now. As you can tell, it's not going anywhere. So that's right where it goes. So yeah, I'm about ready to take some pictures, some photos of this, and so I can do my obligatory post of what I finished this year in 2022. I mean, yeah, these figures aren't done yet, but technically it's the diorama. So if you really want to get crazy about it, the kit's done. That part's done. The base is pretty much done. So these guys are just accessories. So yeah, I'm gonna take some pictures and call it complete, even though I still have some painting to do. More than likely will not finish all of these guys by the end of the year. But uh, while this is drying, I am going to work on some other faces and stuff with that. It's won't take long at all. The that flesh shade color Citadel on these, and yeah, that will work out nice because these guys are. I really love this stuff. I just can't believe how nice it looks. Just shooting their faces and their hands with a basic flesh tone from Tamiya. I mean, not Tamiya, Mr. Color, Mr. Color, and then using this over it, it's almost like panel lining for the face. You know, it. It highlights all the. I gotta zoom in here. It highlights all the features and stuff without really trying. All you're doing is just paint it on. You just brush it on there, and it's almost like a pen line wash. It goes into all the little creases, and then you can take off whatever excess you don't want, and you just take your brush back over it and remove some of it, and it stays in those little dark crevices to create shadows. But the flesh tone comes through and shows through it, so it doesn't look. It's a really nice way of just painting their faces and bringing out all those details. And these figure kits these figure prints, I should say, that from Reed Oak are just phenomenal as far as their detail. So the fact that you can utilize something to really bring out those details and make it look just awesome. Some of these guys have microphones too. I got to watch out for. Oh, yeah. Is everybody? I'm excited to see how it comes out. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm almost done. I didn't realize it took that long. It wasn't until I started seeing some of those posts from people about, oh, this is what I did this year. I go back through my phone and I start looking at the photos based on date, the date that I took them. That way I can tell what I worked on or what I finished or when I started a certain project. And it's like, okay, only 2 I've done was this Valkyrie project and the Baneblade tank commission for a friend of mine. That's it. That's all I finished this year. Of course, the Valkyrie took a long time just based because I really did a lot of mods to it by adding the lighting and then the base. All that stuff took extra time trying to figure out how to power the Valkyrie through the base and the floor, and so sometimes I'll just sit here and stare at something, just sit there and not work on it, just staring at it, trying to figure out how am I gonna get around this next step. Yep, yep, yep. So, anybody got any special Christmas plans? Everybody's staying home? What are they doing? Because this year's gonna be a little bit different for me anyway. So, alright, there. See, that was pretty painless, right? Just a quick more hands. So this guy's got gloves on, so he doesn't need his hands painted. Okay. Yeah, just a quick little dousing of that. I got some water here to clean that up. Sister's joining from LA. Really nice. Does she live out there, or she just working out there, or what? Oh, such a kitschy kit. What's that? Is that you were working on Vandalay? You were working on Meg, I should say. Meg, you were working on like a 1/72 scale, was it? Or a claw game machine, that little one, was it 1/72 scale? It's pretty killer. That's pretty cool. Like one of those machines, that grabs whatever little model kit of one of those. It's pretty crazy, and it's made from Hasagawa. It's fun. I like Hasagawa. Hasagawa's pretty damn good. Although I will say that to me, a F-14 was probably one of the best kits. 1/12 scale. Okay, yeah, that would be pretty small at 1/7.2, wouldn't it? Yeah. It didn't sound right when I said it either. I was hoping you'd correct me. Like, God, that seems tiny. So 112, okay, so and you're gonna build a little diorama for that, right? Staying home wife staying home wife and a big Christmas surprise. Oh, nice. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, the kids are coming over here. My kids are. My daughter's bringing actually, she had a friend that's coming up to surprise her, so they're just gonna come stay over here and, uh, surprise us as well, so that's kinda cool. Doing 2 cruises, hopefully yeah. Oh god. That's right, you got 2 family you got Freddie's side and your side, so you gotta do 2? Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably end up getting together for with all the kids here at one point because, um, yeah, it's gonna be tough to get everybody together in one room on any given day, so we usually do the same thing. You have, like, 2 or 3, one weekend, one day will be for one family, the next day for the next family, so I just need the snow to go away right now. Moving away from doing just gunplay. Yeah, a lot of people have. That's very true. Meg, yeah, because, I noticed a lot of guys in, like the Robo Dojo guys, they're all doing, cars and, uh, other type other kits. They're changing them up, and some of them are modifying their cars to make them like, sci-fi hover cars, but some aren't. Some are just building them straight, kinda out of box and doing, like, some amazing paint jobs on them and stuff, and if you're home for Christmas Eve, I might come by. Me, John? No, I will not be here. I'll say that right now. Sorry, I will not be home, uh, unfortunately, but, I will be home after Christmas, so we'll have to plan if you wanna come by or something, we'll have to do it afterward. I wanna build, like, a whole scale arcade, huh? Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be really nice. You gotta get on that, there's a website where they have those little screens. I know I've got a I know I've got a website I can share too. I think let's see here. Where is it? Um, Give me a sec here. A guy turned me onto this page because there was I was doing 120 Gerwalk. He was trying to find a screen that I could here we go, that I could, oh no, your connection is not what the hell? Why is it doing that? Wow, that was weird. I'm gonna have to try to go back in. I tried to bring up that site and, it was like, you're not your connection's not private." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Bigstuff.com. Go. Oh god, shut the fuck up. Okay, well, I guess I don't have a website for you because it's telling me about hackers and shit like that, so I'm just not gonna touch it. Um, but anyway, it was called brickstuff.com, and they make little screens, miniature, LCD screens, so if you were doing your miniature arcade, you could, foreseeably put some little screens in there and, have, like, little demo games going on. See, he was trying to find something like it for me so I could have like a console screen in the Valkyrie lit up, but they were still pretty big compared to the size of the Valkyrie. So even though the Valkyrie's a 120, had a pretty big cockpit, they were just probably too large to fit in there anyway. So, but they might work for your arcade setup because the if the screens are square, you can build a console around it. You could probably make it work. Sure, that would be fun, wouldn't it? So, okay, so I did all these faces. They are drying right now. I'll take a look at the ones I did earlier. See what they look like. Yeah, they look really good. I don't even need to add any. No need for any paneling, just because that shading color it dries flat and highlights all the little crevices and facial details. So yeah, it's just awesome just the way it is. So all I really have to do now is just paint their clothing. I still haven't decided on the color yet. Let's go back to the pilot. I like that blue. Blue looks good. Could probably go on for a second coat of that yellow now because I know this stuff's dry already. It doesn't take much time, but I'm gonna try it. If not, if it doesn't work, I'll stop and wait till tomorrow or another day because as soon as it starts pulling up that color underneath, I'll know it's not fully cured. I know it's not fully cured. I mean, I already know that, but you know what I mean. Just trying to get to the point where the bright color is done, and then I can go over it with the black to. Yeah, that's not bad. It's working as long as I don't spend a lot of time in one area, brushing one area over and over again. I can go over it. It looks good. Oh yeah, perfect. When it finally dries, it will settle down too. It won't be as. It seems like I'm putting quite a bit of paint on there, but it will. It will flatten out and settle down nicely, and then I can touch up whatever I need to touch up with the uniform color, the gray. Do 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 do. So, just going over hitting these the yellow accents, and then I've got to get out the fine brush when this is fully dry. Do some of that striping. That's really going to be the fun part because that's really thin lines are going to go over this. But yeah, I like it. I like it already. And I haven't even highlighted it yet. It just contrast is where it's really catching my eye. I think looks nice. It's been a while since I've done a lot of hand painting, but I do a lot more than I think some do. Like Tim will tell you he airbrushes everything. I mean, he'll mask the smallest piece, and then he doesn't like to hand paint anything. I mean, I would prefer to airbrush too, but this kind of stuff is just it's just too much. It's so small that I just don't see how you could possibly mask it. I mean, I know it's possible, I guess. I say that now, and Tim will say, "Whoa, how you doing?" You know, but if it's a large enough, it's a large enough area, it's easy to airbrush. But when it gets to this really small stuff, it just seems easy. Hand painted. Okay. So, that's love to see that. Enjoy. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I enjoy it too. I mean, I really do love airbrushing too. Now we can see now that I put a second coat on there, it's getting starting to look nice. And then I'll go through and um, I got to do the black separation lines on those, but that will really make it pop when I get to that point. But I'm gonna have to let that sit. I can't touch those at any point. There's just too much paint there. You gotta let it cure and evaporate, so it will go. You know, it'll settle. It'll lay down like it should. Let me clean that brush again. I'm really liking what you're doing with that tank, that little 172 scale tank you got going, George. Especially those grills that you redid. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. Because they do the best they can at that scale to mold that, but I mean, it's impossible unless you're using photo etch or something else. But you just basically reconstructed them using plastic strip, and that's just cool. It worked out really well. Oh, okay. No. Well, I don't need this anymore. Put the brushes around. Actually, let's see. What color do you think these uniforms should be? Hmm? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at some screenshots. I'll bring up some crew, your deck crew or whatever. Look at some screenshots and see, because like I said, most of these guys, if this were modern U.S. military, they would have different colored vests and stuff depending on their role on carrier deck. But really, the only guy that I care about is the munitions guy who deals with anything weapons related. This guy's going to have his hands on the gun pod down there. So can't say I do. Maybe I can get better at it. Yeah, well, it's not for everybody. But again, most people start when they start painting kits, start with air or hand brushing because for me anyway, it was too. I don't know. I was afraid of airbrushing, thinking it was so very difficult, and I thought there's no way. It's a scary thing. But I went to SCGMC one year and they had an airbrush demo, and so I sat down and picked up an airbrush, and lo and behold, next time it's like, all right, this is cool. I'm getting one for Christmas now because I had a great time doing it. And I thought this isn't so bad. That year, I bought myself an airbrush for Christmas, and the next year I won expert category. So it worked out good. I think I'll do a few more of those accents with this color. Got a few more like straps and stuff on the pilot that I can do with this lighter gray. That should be nice contrast against the uniform. Yeah, I think I can use. Well, I got that one, or I can use. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I think I'll go with this one. Get an even smaller brush. Just go around this chest piece. This is like If I'm not mistaken, this is like the life support. The pilot's uniform indicating their life support condition, I guess, so to speak. I'm gonna paint that red. I know that artwork has it in green, but I think I want to do it like the old school VF1 pilot, do it in red. And I'll go through and touch up all this stuff. This is not perfect by any means, but I'm getting pretty close just by doing it this way. Won't take much, especially if I hit it with some Pentland color, it will soften up the edges between all of these different pieces or different sections of the suit. Time to get heading out, have an awesome rest of your time. Okay, thanks, George. Thanks for stopping by, man. I'm glad you did. I know yesterday you said you were gonna try your best. I really appreciate you coming by. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great Christmas if I don't talk to you beforehand. See you later. Yeah, he's coming to us from, back east, man. It's late there. It's about, almost 10:30 for him, so that's awesome. He get to come out. Oh, okay, now I know what I'm missing. Like, I'm looking at this going, "Something ain't right. I gotta do this section here." So, I was playing the new Call of Duty today. Put it in I was just checking games out that I might wanna buy myself, for Christmas or whatever. I was like, "Oh, I got Call of Duty." I know I've always liked Call of Duty. I'll just put it in my wish list or whatever. I get an email the other day, "A game in your wish list is on sale." Oh, no shit, like $10 off. Alright, so guess what I downloaded last night? Started playing today. I like the campaign, it's pretty cool. Pretty intense in some cases. Just working away at this little there's like a connection point back here by his backpack here. And this pilot's going to be seen from all sides, so I got to make sure that everything is top notch. You know, sometimes if something's not going to be seen from a certain angle, you can get away with play around with it a little bit, get away with it. But this guy's going to be out in the middle of the floor, so really gotta be careful. Suppose I could do the other side of the visor in this gray. Anything that gets on the what would be the glass portion of it will be scraped off and hit with uh, that clear blue, so it's going to be nice and glossy. That'll probably be the last thing I do because once I finally flat coat everything and then I can hand paint that glossy visor paint on there, and it'll look really nice. All right, that is looking pretty darn good. Yep, yep, yep. All right. Well, everybody, 7:30. Is everybody ready to call it? Been going for about an hour and a half now, so we've done made some pretty good progress on the pilot for sure, and then some of the other things. So I've got to do some detail work in the middle there of his chest and like the buckles and stuff on the underneath that. But yeah, not too bad so far. I kind of like the way he's coming out nice. I'm trying to rotate that. There we go. So yeah, I'm liking it. And then let's see, we'll see if I can get this guy to focus. See his. You can really see that face nicely now with that accent color. Yeah. Anyway, with that, I think we're going to call this one done in the books, my friends. Thank you so much for joining in. Everybody that participated in the chat tonight. It was awesome talking to each and every one of you. And uh, we'll catch you again on the flip side. Probably will not be a broadcast next week. It's Christmas, and so everybody's going to be doing stuff. And so realistically, it'd be hard to even have anybody watching it, let alone get online. So probably won't be doing a show next week. No worries, we'll be back the week after that. I'm sure. Maybe even well, that'll be New Year's. So we'll see. We'll see if that one comes around. But anyway, uh, be good humans. Give your give the loved ones you live with a big hug and tell them you love them, each and every one of them. Because yeah, it's nice to have that. Nice to have family and nice to have people that love you and love you back. So anyway, with that being said, Mikey Wine here, Gundamonium Works. Tell your friends, tell them to go on, find my YouTube channel at Gundamonium Works. Like and subscribe. That'd be awesome. If you could, if you haven't already. And we'll keep plugging away, and this thing will be done hopefully within the first couple weeks of the year. So yes, like you said, Julius, very good. Merry Christmas, everybody, and we'll catch you on the flip.